I am about to try and qualify for my first ever esports championship. That's right, after dedicating most of my sim racing in 2026 to the Porsche Cup car and iRacing, I get a chance to really test that knowledge and skill against the game's best in the Porsche Esports Super Cup Global Open Qualifiers. Over the next 4 weeks, I'll be trying to put together my best performances to see how I stack up against of the Porsche Cup racing community and vie for a spot inside my region for the regional championship round. With limited time slots, these high-stake races certainly produced a unique challenge for me, and at the end of the week, a unique point situation has certainly thrown up some interesting questions, and potentially we found a bit of a flaw in how this Porsche Esports Cup is being run, and we'll need to talk about that at the end of the video. But how did the races go? Where do we stack up against the competition? Let's dive in and find out. So into race one, and it's safe to say the nerves of this were certainly getting to me. Spinning the car very uncharacteristically of me on the outlap on cold tyres, and that meant that we were not going to have enough time to truly set 2 flying laps in this qualifying session. I also at this point should have reset the car and reset the setup on it to allow for those slightly warmed tyres. So this one single flying lap is from stone cold tyres, and I've got to say I was pretty disappointed in myself to get this wrong on my first attempt at these qualifier races. Fortunately though, we did set ourselves a pretty tidy lap, and all things considered here, it wasn't all that bad. Really struggling out of the final corner here, trying to get on the power, but we are going to come across the line for a 2-minute 18.35, and that will be good enough for P16 right in the middle of this 30 car field. Now onto the start, and we are wanting a good one here. The launch is really nice and we get away really smartly there, up alongside car 3 as we head down towards turn number 1. We're pushing towards the outside, having to avoid a little bit the car moving under brakes there, car 26, but we get a nice launch around the outside, up 1 spot as we head down towards our Rouge for the first time in this race. Now this corner is super tricky even when the car is all warmed up, so we want to be nice and cautious through here, down to 5th gear, just being really careful on those cold tyres. We do get through there okay, and we're in the slipstream train down the Kemmel Straight for the first time. I am expecting this race to be really tight all race long, so we're going to see if we can make some positions up early, trying around the outside here at Lecombe and just getting around the outside, but a little bit too wide, a little bit of slow down as well as we get a bit of a mess from in front, and then very fortunately we're able to sink down the inside of what is quite a major accident through the last part of Lecombe and get down towards Bruxelles here without too much drama. Already up to P9, but what on earth has gone on in front? Let's have a bit of a look on the replay here. Nearing the front of the pack as we come off the Kemmel Straight, there's a few cars that bump left and right, and then a few cars decide to shortcut through that opening sector, and car 18, who does take that shortcut, turns down through the last part of Lecombe on 2 cars on his inside and causes quite the mess there. Like I said, I was very fortunately placed to be able to just sneak down the inside here, and it's just glad I wasn't side by side with car 26 at that point. It would have put me right in the mess. But we are through there cleanly, and we are then able to start our race, now already up into the top 10. Immediately we start looking again at the back of car 26, who was being really cautious on this opening lap, and I was feeling a bit of confidence in the car. Coming out of Pujon, in the mirror there's a few cars tangling there behind, but I'm all eyes forward as I try for a run down the inside at turn 13. Just going to try and keep the nose in here on the outside of turn 14. Doesn't quite work, looking for the crisscross, but car 26 doing a good job placing the car where he needs to, defending well as we come towards Stavelot. Coming towards the second part of Stavelot here, I'm just looking for a really good run. Could there be a chance here to make this work? But unfortunately not the best run out of there, nice and equal with the car in front, so no real opportunity. As a result, we do settle in here in P9 through these first couple of laps, and it is quite a train of cars in front. The chances of making up a few spots and getting ourselves well inside the top 10 is really absolutely on here, so we're feeling confident that there could still be a really nice result in this first race. Through Blanchimont, again, it's a really tricky corner to see how much commitment you can take. Don't want to use up too many speed tokens and off tracks through there on these first few laps, and the cars in front looking quite aggressive, trying to make moves. We're happy to just sit back a little bit. You don't want to try and overwork the tyre too much. although with the tightness of this race, I might not get too much opportunity to conserve. We will have to see as the laps count down. Into turn 1 La Source on lap number 3 here. I'll break myself a little bit with the trainer cars in front, just about getting into the back of car 26. And behind us, we've got our Australian counterpart here. Of course, we've got to look out for those who are inside our region. They are the people we really want to beat in this race. Through our rouge on lap 3, and we do try too hard through there, we do pick up our very first slowdown of this race. These slowdowns are absolutely killer here at Spa. To give up a lot of time. Fortunately, the Australian driver, car 12 behind, also picks up a slowdown. We serve the entirety of that on the Kemmel Straight, still holding on to position 9, but losing touch with this group of cars in front. Need a good couple of laps here to get back in touch, otherwise it's going to be a very lonely race indeed. Of course, we have to go up this corner once again. I'm going to try and be a tiny bit more cautious here on lap number 4. Again, this is the trick corner. You have to be just about committed. A little bit of a lift here, get the car turned in nicely, not too much of that inside curb, just that will start to really lift and launch the car. And in this lap, it is car 26 in front who serves. This has to serve a slowdown penalty, and there'll be a lot of slowdowns in this race, let me tell you. And where they fall, it can be very crucial to your overall result. He hasn't completely served it here on the Kemmel Straight, so he's going to be slow through these next few corners. Come out of Le Combes, we head down to Brussels for this lap, and he takes the inside line. He's obviously looking to do a bit of a block style defense as he serves a slowdown. I'm not having it on this lap. Brake nice and deep and hard. We managed to get around the outside there. Definitely don't like people serving those slowdowns in the middle of corners. Causes all sorts of trouble, but we're fortunate to be able to get past him on this stage. Now at this point we're up to P8, a little gap in front, and I felt like this was a really crucial part of my race. Get these next few laps right, get myself up to that next group, and we could certainly be looking towards an even better result in this race. Coming out of La Source here on lap number 5, down towards our rouge, and as I said, we're all about trying to really nail this next lap. Done an 18.0 on that last one, so we're really hoping that we can improve that over this lap. Unfortunately, again, a tiny bit too much through our rouge and Raidillon, and we are going to pick up another slow down penalty. We decided to serve this one out of Le Combes, but we're not going to try and block pass here or anything like that. We're simply going to pull over, let these 3 cars by, completely serve that penalty, but it does mean we drop down to 11th place and all the work to do once again to get back up towards this next group. Fortunately though, this first part of the race had yielded us a fair gap to the next group of cars behind. Getting those first few laps right and racing well, despite some of those small mistakes, had meant a 4.6 second gap to P12. So almost regardless of how the next part of the race would go, this would be a half solid result inside this 30 car field. And to give you context, the strength of field of this what is split 5 race in the second time slot on Wednesday is 3,500. And I've got to admit that reflecting on that, it's pretty cool to be in this sort of field, in this sort of strength of field, and to feel pretty competitive. Not 3 months ago, I was right down in the low 2000 I ratings and just starting to get my head around this Porsche Cup car. And to be now racing and competing in 3,500 strength of field races felt pretty good indeed. It was nice to show off some of that skill set here today. Now we get another slowdown from our Australian driver, which puts us up into P9, and then the leaders of the race, they tangle a very lazy move from car 20, turns around car number 4, and then his rejoin is to be desired, also collecting another car. We come across the mess of that on that lap, so it is going to put us up 2 spots. We are back to position 9 in this race, 17 minutes to go, and what feels like a race that's already happened. And now with another lap of slowdowns for car 19, he serves it around the outside of Bruxelles. That is going to move us up 1 place. We are back to position number 8 in this one, and again it feels like we've already completed a whole race at this point. So much has been going on, so much pressure and tension, and we're just still with 12 minutes to go in this race. Now, it's another slowdown up ahead for car 22. Hasn't quite fully served it as we enter Bruxelles on this lap. He's a little bit slow. It's a little bit awkward for me in the middle of Bruxelles there. And car number 19 takes an opportunity to dive down the inside at no names. A bit of 0x contact there. Not the cleanest of all moves, but we should have covered that one off in hindsight. And that's going to drop us back to P9. So a very up and down race here for me. Now with car 12 all over the back of me. And at this point of the race, you could just start about feel that the tyres were starting to hurt a little bit. 37-degree track temps, not the absolute hottest you can have around here at Spa, but you could certainly feel it. The corners like El Rouge, for example, not really being able to take it flat at any point, just with the temp of those tyres, and through Blanchimont here as well, as we almost forget the name of this corner. Just struggling as we go a little bit wide there, picking up another off track, and then down into the bus stop here. Lots of fighting up ahead still there. Car 19 around the outside at the first part of the bus stop chicane, looking for a bit of an exit here. Now car 22 is the next car in front. We're going to have a look towards the first corner here, decide to take the racing line, and then car 22, who was looking down the inside, jumped back to the racing line at the braking zone, really catches us out. We almost get into the back of him there with a 0x contact, in fact, and that pushes us wide. Our Australian friend there, he passes us once again, which is a really frustrating part there. And at this point, with 10 minutes to go to come up through our Rouge there, losing touch a little bit with the drivers in front. In a way, I essentially have a think about maybe just settling down a little bit. It's been a pretty up and down last 5-6 minutes of this race, just to see if we can settle in. The guys in front, they have a bit of a touch there as car 12 gets past car 22. And again, we've got that really big gap behind to the next car, which is now car at position 11. So we're just thinking maybe about settling down here for the next few minutes, looking after the tyre a little bit, something I haven't really been able to do all race long, and just see with this group of cars in front whether if they're fighting really hurts their tyres a bit, and maybe we'll have a little bit of extra pace through the last few laps and try and make some big bold moves to get ourselves further up towards the top 10. Over the next few laps, that seems to be working out. Car 22, for example, certainly is starting to hurt a bit on pace. You see, a few cars are starting to get away there. So we are hoping that we can find ourselves an opportunity. And I too was also struggling a little bit with where the grip level of the car was really having to be very patient on throttle, being very good at hitting my brake markers. And that was just starting to come back to me as we approached the last 3.5 minutes of this race. Coming around through Le Combe here, you can see just starting to get a little bit scraggly from the car in front, and we're just trying to hold our own position here, just to be very patient on my own inputs and just to see if those opportunities arise. There's still a whole bunch of cars in front. Car 19 goes down the inside at car 26 at no name, so they're still pushing really hard, and I know that the pace can fall off if you really overheat the tyres here of this Porsche Cup car. End of lap number 12 now, and we do get a bit of a relief here. Car 22 misses Blanchimont completely, very, very wide, and picks up a slowdown for good measure. He serves it immediately, and that allows us to go clear as we come towards the bus stop chicane. Only a couple of laps left in this race, 3 cars still in front of us. Could our little technique here of just trying to hold on to some tyre life pay off in the last few laps? We do get a good run through the middle sector of that lap, and we are going to have a bit of an opportunity here as we come towards the final lap. Those positions in front could mean valuable championship points for me, and we do want to be fighting for these positions if there is an opportunity. On to the final lap now as we come through our Rouge, looking for a good run, trying to not pick up a slowdown. We're unfortunately a little bit too conservative there, not getting the run that we want, but we didn't pick up a slowdown that would have absolutely hurt our positionings in this final lap. Car 19 gets around car 26. The guys up in front, there was a slowdown there. They're a little bit too far away on this last lap for that to be a benefit to us. Around the com here, looking at the back of car 26 on this final lap. Is there going to be any chance at all of a position grab here? Down towards Bruxelles now for the final time of this race. Again, being very, very patient. So easy, especially once the tyres get a bit used, to go too deep into there and lose the rear end. Through no name, same again, nice and patient, trying to get on the loud pedal as quick as we can. A little bit of gravel there slows us up, but we are still in this fight as we come to the final part of this race. Through Pujon here, almost going a little bit too wide, just trying to get on the pedal, keeping that rotation. Cars in front running a little bit wider, no slowdowns for them. We come towards turns 13 and 14. Again, long corners here. Really got to be careful with where you get on the pedal. Car's a little bit under steering on throttle at this part of the race. Down to Stavolo now, and this next corner as we come out of Stavolo 2 is super important through the run up to Blanchimont. I had been struggling a little bit with initial rotation through this corner. Other drivers getting a better job of it. Same again on this lap. So it'll only be a case of a mistake in front that's going to give us an opportunity. Through Blanchimont now, we're going to again look to just not pick up any more off tracks the last part of this race. A little bit too cautious there, but we're safe, and that's probably the best thing to do on this final lap. Down to the bus stop chicane, and there is no battles up in front, so we are going to come out, we are going to finish this one in position number 9. Potentially could have been a better result had I not picked up some of those early slowdowns, but some key lessons learned for the next few races. 156 championship points is a nice banker for the start of this qualifiers week. So it's on to the next time slot, the first Saturday time slot for these qualifier races, and we're going to start again out of position 16, not quite being able to put together our qualifying run. Slightly less prepared for this race as it coincided very unfortunately with the start of the Nürburgring 24 hours, so I was glued to the screen until probably the last moments before this one, so we're a little bit under prepped, not quite warmed up the same, and that was certainly obviously a choice on my part. Now we're going to come towards Al Rouge here, and a couple of cars that were side by side. We have to lift and then lift again as the car 18 on the outside, or car 26 I should say, runs very wide over the top of Ranillon. So we're going to be very slow down the Kemmel Straight. Some pressure behind from car number 7. Now the Finnish driver there, a friend of the channel. I trust him completely, having raced him quite a lot on a Tuesday, and he's obviously very involved in our live stream chats as well. So it's great to be racing him here in the qualifier sessions, and like I said, I can really trust him to race him side by side, so this will be a really fun race. As we come down towards Bruxelles, we're going to take the inside line and jack around the outside there, so we're going to be side by side with that driver as we come out of Bruxelles down towards No Name, and this is where that trust really comes in. This is a really tricky corner. We both give each other nice space, racing each other hard, and this is a great version of what Porsche Cup racing can be. We're now 3 wide momentarily as we come down to Pujon here, as a car spins in front of us. 2 by, now 3 by again, as Jack backs out of that battle, now side by side with the American driver car 24, and this is really good racing. We go down towards turn 13, nice and defensively there, and showing good aggression from that car behind, defending nicely here, and we managed to come out in P14 after that opening sequence there. But like I said, this is really fun racing. It's exactly what you want from a one-make series, and this is what Porsche Cup can offer week on week, and why I love this car so much. Unfortunately, I don't have a replay of this race to really show how close that all was, but certainly getting through corners like No Name and Pujon at 3 wide certainly showed that there's some good racing to be had around with these drivers here. Nice and wide through Blanchimont on this first lap as we push really hard. Car in front, he's really slowed up, so he takes a slightly defensive line into the bus stop chicane. Car 24 looking the nose down the inside there, so I'm going to have to be wary of that driver. He's definitely showing some extra aggression. He's looking to make up spots early, not wanting to settle into this race at all. And I probably should have recognised that as we come down to turn number 1 here. He throws the dive down the inside. We give him some space at the apex here, looking for a good exit, which we get, and we've got the drive traction to stay in front of him once again. Now towards Al Rouge on this second lap. We don't want to be too aggressive through here, but with that pressure behind, we want to try and keep up with this driver ahead. Unfortunately, we do overdo it there, not quite getting the turning point right, and we are slightly slow. 24 behind, much better run. We're holding the inside here down the Kemmel Straight, but he's got enough speed over the top there to simply drive by us. He pulls in front to take the defensive line into Le Common. We all outbrake ourselves here, all of myself and the 2 cars in front, and then awkwardly tangle here on the outside of the corner. In hindsight, my best option probably could have been to just straight line the corner, not to take any contact, but I felt like that was always going to happen. And again, unfortunately, I do not have a replay there to show exactly how that went down, but a bit of a racing incident. As I said, I could have backed out of that or simply turned to the left to stay away from it. Coming out of Bruxelles, a couple of other cars tangle here. Car 20 serving that slow down around the outside of Bruxelles. Tangles with car 6, who's got quite a bit of damage now after that moment. And it's a bit of a backward step for us in this one, all the way down to position 19. We do move up a couple of spots here as we come towards 10 minutes to go in this race, but ultimately the result here wasn't going to be pretty regardless of how we got on. There are some cars in front that we are chasing down. We seem a little bit ragged here with a little bit of damage we've picked up, and as we come down to Bruxelles on this lap, too deep under brakes, too much ABS, trying to turn the car, and we lose the rear end there. It's quite easy to do. We've been trying to manage that through some of the races, but just turning the car around there, dropping more positions. And then on the last lap through Pujon, get a bit of a slide, just about managed to catch it, really on the edge there of having another big accident. But we are going to finish this one off in P17, no extra points in the championship standings, and ultimately a bit of a disappointing race. We do have one more opportunity to undo our disappointment. Can we make it happen in race number 3? So it is our final opportunity of the week to really put on a strong result here at Spa. In qualifying, this is our second flying lap. The tyres are warmer. Can we finally actually put together a strong qualifying performance? Down to first gear at La Source, we're going to take you on this lap, as it certainly was one of my best laps of the week. We had been finding a little bit of extra pace in the extra practice that we'd done before this one, and I'm starting to feel a bit more confident, especially in qualifying trim. Up our Rouge and Rayon, a tiny lift to get the car rotated. Really happy with how that one worked out, and you see already on the dash some green delta there, 3/10 through that opening few corners. This is already starting to look like a much better lap. Get the car braked and slowed down using this inside curb at the first part of Le Combe. Get the car rotated, missing that apex a little bit there, but getting it through the late part of Le Combe nicely, using all the rumble strips there and extra track, and getting ourselves down to Bruxelles. Getting the car rotated here, mid-corner, run the car a little bit wide, double apex there, hard on the throttle, picking up time here through No Name, light braking, getting towards the apex there, hard on the throttle, done a good job of that, half a second up already on this lap. Now Pujon, don't want to brake too much, just getting the car slowed down enough, rotated out towards the outside there. Always sitting a little bit more cautious at Pujon. Again, it's one of those corners, you get it too deep, start losing the rear of the car. It's very hard to bring it back. Through turns, turn 13 and 14, not trying to get up too much on these curves. We turn in a little bit early through the second part here, but we get a nice use of the track on the outside. And now Stavelo up on that end first curb there to open up the corner a little bit, trying to get a good rotation here, trying to get off the power a little earlier, get the rotation on the power as soon as you can. 8/10 up now as we come towards Blanchimont and the final part of the lap. Now it's always a question mark of how much you commit through Blanchimont here. We don't want to pick up an off track and ruin this lap, so maybe a little bit more cautious than we otherwise could have been, not really picking up any extra time there. And then down to the bus stop chicane again, using that curb, open up the corner. We're keeping it in second gear as we get through here, early on the power, getting it on the outside of the track, and we do lose about a tenth there versus our previous lap. It's being a little bit too cautious at 2 minutes 17.7, and that tenth really did cost us. Would have given us a good 3, maybe even 4 spots had we really nailed the last part of that lap. But an 8th position start is much better than the previous 2 races, and we were ready and primed to try and make the most of that. Another good start against the car in front of me. We're going to be aggressive on the outside of turn number 1, taking that wide line, looking to strain the car up and get a good exit there, 3 wide, and then all of a sudden a car flashes in front of us, and can you believe it? It's our channel friend Jack, who we were racing hard previously in the previous race. He'd started next to us on the grid, and unfortunately we find ourselves collecting each other and off into the gravel. I can only laugh about it. Of all the people to run into in this race, it was certainly not the way we wanted to start that one. And back to the replay to see what on earth has actually happened, as it really came out of nowhere for me. You see, good start around the outside, car 20 leaving a lot of space on the apex, so we're very, very wide. Jack was down the inside, and just as we converge on corner exit, the slightest touch on the rear bumper of car 7 by car 20 there is going to turn him around and right into our path there on the outside of the circuit. Now, realistically, this is just a simple racing incident. I think there was enough space for this to all work for us. Car 20 giving me a lot of space, and then just finding the rear bumper there as he approaches, but it does leave us with a fair bit of damage on the front right corner and ultimately at the back of the pack. 8 minutes to go in this race, and we've managed to climb up back to position 18, so lots of other carnage in this race, picking up another slowdown here, which is unfortunate. And realistically, the car did not feel great through this race. In 18.8, the best lap we've managed to set, and quite simply the car just did not feel very nice at all. A couple of cars finding each other through Le Com here, one car on the outside wanting to basically redress that one. Our slowdown means we have to give back one of those positions, so briefly up to P16 and really just not near where we need to be for this race. See, just the car not wanting to turn into Bruxelles there, just really struggling in general. Of course, we are not going to give up on this race. There's certainly a couple of positions that can be gained through the latter stages here, and thanks to the results I had in race number 1, we had actually obtained 3,500 I rating for the very first time. That position 15 in front would essentially give me a 0 I rating gain or loss, so therefore holding on to that 3,500 I rating by the end of this Porsche Cup week. Through the bus stop chicane with the final lap flag waving, one more lap to go, we do get a run down the inside towards turn number 1 La Source. We're going to make that one stick up to P16 as we round the corner here, now looking at that P15, potentially able to salvage some I rating. We're going to need a really nice run up El Rouge on this lap. Under pressure here, can we make it happen? Unfortunately, once again, we are pushed a little bit too hard into the bottom of that corner. Car not wanting to respond as I was hoping. A good speed advantage from car 19 means he gets the run around the outside, down the Kemmel straight, and to be fair with how far he is in front, we don't fight this one down into Le Com at the end of the straight, not wanting to create any more mess. Realistically, position 15 was the goal for that final lap. Losing out that position or not really getting a run on him just meant we should just play it safe, see if there's another opportunity later on. To be fair, I do not have any regrets on how we raced these races. It was a nice aggressive start in this one, trying to make the most of it to try and gain those championship points. It didn't quite work out overall, and that's certainly okay. I wouldn't change the way we raced, and we finish off this lap. It's got to be fair that it was a right way to do things, and will certainly be my approach going into next week's qualifier races as well. So how do we stack up though in the overall championship? There's a bit to talk about, so let's dive into that. So week 1 is done, and unfortunately we have been unable to produce a super top result in our first round of qualifiers. Now, our 156 championship points from race 1 puts us in 183rd overall inside the iRacing official series standings. But of course, this is about those regional championships, and thanks to some of the community who are putting together a bit of a spreadsheet, it looks like that we are in fact inside the qualification positions in 24th in our Asia Pacific regional standings. Now, it's both incredibly exciting and incredibly surprising to find myself in this position after week 1, but more so, it does raise some interesting questions about how Porsche have gone about this esports qualifying system and whether in fact it's the right system for a competition like this. The first question it raises is about how you can gain these championship points. The way iRacing works is based on the strength of field of your split, and your position finishing it will determine how many points you gain towards a particular series. As a result, by winning a split 4 or 5 race, you can produce more points than someone who finishes in the midfield of even a split 3, 2, or even lower in a split 1 event. Obviously, all drivers inside splits 1 and 2 and 3 are much faster than I am in split 4 and 5, and the fact that I can outscore them even on a solid day like a P9 does raise a few eyebrows for me. At the same time, it does make sense that even in split 1 and 2, you can't just have an easy day out and finish a race to out-qualify someone who is a few splits below them who has a good result for them. It does make sense that the people who are going to qualify for these regional championships, they're going to have to produce good results all of these 4 weeks to have a chance at getting into the top 32. But the other question it does raise is that while the emphasis is on regionals for the next round of this competition, the qualifier time slots are not particularly friendly for some of those regions. In Europe, a 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. time slots on Wednesdays and Saturdays convert to basically midnight and very early morning hours in the Asia Pacific region, and as a result, significantly less drivers have taken on this event from those regions compared to Europe and the United States. I think there's a number of decent or very top drivers from those regions who simply have not taken part, and maybe after this week and seeing where the points are standing, they might jump in and give it a better go, because the reality is a top driver could certainly out-qualify me over the next 3 weeks, having not even done the first round, based on the number of points that I can even gain, even if I win the next 3 weeks that I race. So overall, I think the best drivers will end up inside the regional finals themselves, but certainly in the more attended and more competitive regions, there will be some top drivers who do miss out based on this region-based competition, and they may feel a little bit robbed of an opportunity. But personally, I'm proud to be above that line in my own region, and I'll try and honor that the best I can as we move forward. And let me know in the comments as well, what do you think about this overall situation, particularly if you're from Europe or America? What do you think about the fact of these regions? Is this the right call by Porsche? Is this the situation we want, or do we want to see the very, very best drivers battling it out in the final events? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you very, very much for watching this first round. Of course, if you want to see how we carry on in rounds 2, 3, and 4, then please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and I can't wait to bring you the races from Sebring in week 2. I'm sure they're going to be a lot of fun with some added pressure on them as well. As always, guys, race hard, stay positive. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.